All right, let's move on to the specifics of the bill itself. Now, you said already that this bill was a nightmare from start to finish, that the process was bad. Why is it such a bad bill?
Well, when you get a 2,200 plus page bill and you have no time to read it, it took us forever just to print it out so our staff could even begin to look at it. In fact, we wrapped it up in Christmas packaging and put a big bow and could barely lift it off the desk. We thought about doing a video of this wonderful gift from Congress, a $1.1 trillion gift, but then you start pulling out some of those pages. And the only people who got stuff were, Puerto Rico did really well, a nice subsidy for Puerto Rican rum, and very wealthy horse owners and horse track racers got a big thing. But you get down to the bottom and there's really nothing in there for the American people. We even joked that the American people are just going to get a lump of coal.
I was just going to say it's a worse gift than a lump of coal if you put a ribbon on it and put it under the tree.
That's right. But then we also remembered that the president had just come back from Paris, so we can't even give them coal anymore. So now the only thing we can give the American people is the bill. And it's $1.1 trillion of really bad spending that, again, bad policy, horrible process. And if the Republican Party and if conservatives are really going to move this country forward, we have to do these things in the light of day. We have to have open, honest debate about real issues in this country. There was no amendment process. No changes could have been made. And some people said, well, you had the leaders of the Republicans and the leaders of the Democrats in the room. They don't represent the people of the states.
Right. You make a good point. Speaker of the House Paul Ryan is getting hacked for this bill because, as Speaker, he was the one to negotiate it. What do you think? Are those attacks on Ryan fair, or is this out of his control?
I think there was an element that, to be honest, this thing was really cooked even before he took the Speaker's gavel. So there is an element of, I won't give him a free pass, but maybe a half a pass. Because so much of it was already baked in. And again, that's part of the problem with the process, is that all of these things are being baked, and then we're also governing by cliff. So we have to do this before midnight, or the government's going to shut down and the sky's going to fall, and we have to stop doing that. We need to start talking. We should have started talking in September when they passed the continuing resolution. We should have had a countdown clock going. And what are we going to debate today before we get to the omnibus? And again, process, everyone needs to have a voice. And most important, it needs to be done in front of the American people. We're way past time where members of Congress are telling the American people, just trust us, we'll do it. Well, if you get a 2,000-page bill, it's hard to trust. What we need to do instead is we need to get Congress to trust the American people. Trust the American people with their tax dollars. Trust them with their decisions in healthcare and education. Trust them to do the right things in their communities. I have a lot of trust in the American people. Nobody has a whole lot of trust in Congress right now.
No, nobody has too much trust that Washington bureaucrats are going to accurately represent what we want. Now, we're almost out of time, but I want to touch on two specific provisions in this bill. The first of which is Planned Parenthood is fully funded for next year in this bill. None of their federal funding is cut, even in the light of those videos released by the Center for Medical Progress. None of it. They're fully funded. The other thing that's funded is the resettlement program for the Syrian refugees. Even though the American people don't want them to be resettled here, even though politicians and people alike have expressed their concern about the safety, the vetting process, both of those things fully funded in this bill. Does that surprise you?
Sadly, it doesn't surprise me, because it's the only way you could ever get those things through. Because the American people have spoken. The American people are demanding that these things be changed. And so the only way, if we had just a straight up bill to vote on, they would never pass. And so the only way they can get so many of these different provisions in, many which are contrary to the vast majority of the American people, the only way to do that is to govern by crisis and by cliff and drop them into 2,000-page bills that nobody can ever read.
And